In my freshman season with the Army, we finished 0-12. I made it clear that I'd be exploring the transfer portal after that season. I made the decision that would help my family most by transferring to Alabama. In high school, I did get an offer to go to Bama as the RB2, but after my lackluster freshman year, I was relegated to third string to begin my sophomore season at Bama. Our first game was against an FCS team and we easily took the W, but I got 0 playing time. And next we played FAU, a team that we should easily beat, but I only got 2 snaps during our game. We got upset in our second game of the season and I definitely was feeling uneasy about my decision to transfer after that first L. As the new RB2 though, I got 0 touches in our game against Arizona State and we ended up getting the W and improved our record to 2-1. Against Ole Miss, I got only 1 touch, but it was the most important one of the game. Up 7 with a minute left, I punched it in for a touchdown and gave us a 2-score lead. That win got us back in the top 25 and our next game was against Texas A&M. Again, as the RB2, I only got 1 touch, but we did win that game as well. It's hard to say that I earned the starting job for my performance on the field. I mean, I was barely on the field to begin with, but my running back coach was watching me closely in practice lately, and he put in a word that I should start our game against Kentucky since Roy Dell was banged up a little bit. And I immediately went from getting 0 touches to getting 20 plus. Again, in high school, I had a ton of 40 carry games, so this workload wasn't a big deal for me. A quote I heard from Tony Allen once was that if you stay ready, you don't gotta get ready. And so I didn't really need to worry about my endurance in this game, despite getting more touches in this game than I got in the rest of the season combined up to this point. The only thing that was really annoying me is that whenever we got into the red zone near the 1 or 2 yard line, they'd pull me out and put Roy Dell back in as the goal line back. Quick pause. I know most of you guys enjoy these videos, but a lot of you aren't subscribed to the channel, so make sure to go ahead and subscribe to continue to get these career videos and other sort of content that's going to be coming out in the upcoming months. All right, so we did end up getting the W versus Kentucky, which means that our next game is going to be coming up against Arkansas. And so now as the 12th rated team in the nation with a 5-1 record, Arkansas being 4-2, this is a battle of 2 top 20 teams in the nation. And I started ripping off some big runs versus Arkansas. I wanted to make sure that I could gobble up all the balls that Roy Dell Williams was offering. I remember huddling around my teammates midway through the second quarter, and my O-line was just telling me that they were like surprised at how much I could take a pounding. And I mean, like I said, I can rip off 30 carries in the game for sure. And I never really exploded in this game, but I did have 1 touchdown at the end of the game, giving us a 20-3 lead. We ended up taking the W. All jokes aside, though, we did end up picking the W up. But the weird thing is we actually fell down in the rankings, and we fell from 12th to 13th after beating Arkansas. And now we're playing against a 4-3 Tennessee team. And Jalen Milroe was going crazy. He got 1 touchdown, those 70 yards to Jermaine Burton. Right before the end of the first half, he found me in the end zone for a touchdown, and we had a 21-14 lead with 2.5 minutes remaining. I did not do all that much in this game, but then he threw a terrible pick. It almost ended up being a pick 6, but the DB did end up getting brought down. Milroe definitely got super lucky, though, because we did get a full stop on defense, so we still had the 1 touchdown lead. I tried to stay in bounds to the best of my ability to run clock as much as I could. We couldn't see the down and distance for whatever reason, but with 30 seconds left, I picked up another first down, effectively ending the game because Tennessee had no timeouts remaining. I didn't have a glorious game, but I did have that 1 receiving touchdown before the end of the first half. Our next game was against LSU, though. One of our biggest rivals at 3-4. They didn't have the best record, but you can never sleep on a team like LSU. They have a ton of talent. And my game against Tennessee, admittedly, was really quiet. I averaged about 3 yards per carry, and I had like 70 rushing yards. But against LSU, I was breaking off explosive runs again and again, or Jalen Milroe was keeping the ball on read option keepers. And then this play happened here where I got some great blocks on the outside. I ran downfield. I thought I was going to run over the safety, but the safety just laid me out. I finally got my revenge with about 1.5 minutes left in the half, scoring my first touchdown of the game. Now, I did mention before that the NIL money was coming up pretty clutch for me, and you might be wondering why that is, considering I do have a pretty stable family, and I do have my family in a military background, so we should be well taken care of. But to be honest, after I left the Army my freshman season, my dad started experiencing some weird symptoms at his job. He was feeling pretty sick. He couldn't stand up for a long time. And so he did end up taking a couple-week break from his job in Virginia. Eventually, we found out that he does actually have cancer. But the most important thing, man, is that he found out early, got it caught early, and that means it's going to be treatable, which is awesome. And you know, you might be wondering, like, why am I playing football? Well, of course, I got to make sure that I'm getting my NIL money. I got to make sure I'm paying for certain things, but also my dad said he wanted me to continue to play football. He wanted to watch me while he was getting his treatments. He wanted to make sure that I continued to chase my dreams, and he supported that 100%. The thing is, though, that my dad did say before the season started that he wanted to come to every single game, but his health was deteriorating a little bit with his treatment, so it was a better option to just have him stay home. Maybe come to one home game in Alabama, just see how that goes. But we were getting close to the end of the season with an 8-1 record playing against Mississippi State, and we're down 13-0 in the third quarter, man. We could get get absolutely nothing done. Jalen Milroe was getting boxed, and the running game was getting boxed as well. I was averaging 2 yards per carry up to this point, and most of the work that I was doing that was positive in this game was catching the football. Going back to my roots as a dual threat sort of tight end running back type of player out of high school. After a big grab, I got pulled out of the game in the red zone once again, and Roydell came in for that cleanup touchdown. We were still down 13-6 with a minute left in the fourth quarter, and Jalen Milroe took a big sack, so now it's 3rd and 14. And on 3rd and 14, he threw it downfield, and we did convert the fourth down, just barely convert the fourth down. And on the very next play, though, Jalen Milroe exposes the cover 2 defense, finding Ja'Cory Brooks on the sideline for the game-tying touchdown. We go into overtime against Mississippi State, and I end up not really doing all that much. It's kind of the Jalen Milroe show on the completion. And on the very next play, he finds himself some time in the pocket, escapes out to his right side off of a great block by me, by the way, and he gets into the end zone for a touchdown. And when I mean I wasn't doing much in overtime, I really mean I wasn't doing that much. On 3rd and 8, it's a crucial 3rd down conversion, and I have the easy first down pickup, but I spin out of bounds, and then we try to kick the field goal on the next play, and we miss it. I was absolutely heartbroken. Mississippi State comes out with the victory over us. That had to have put us in a slump because we were down 14-3 at half against Old Dominion, and coach opted to go for it with 3 seconds left instead of taking the field goal, probably because of what happened last game. I started to get it going in the second half, and I was wearing down their defense, and we were starting to click offensively. With 2 minutes left in the fourth quarter, I got a toss on the outside of the right side, scored the touchdown, putting us back within the game within 3 points. Our defense came up clutch and got us the ball back with a minute left, but coach's play calling was a little bit suspect. On 3rd down, he called a draw that Old Dominion sniffed out immediately, and then on 4th down, Milroe threw a prayer up, and that got picked off, and we took the biggest L of the season. Our next game had to be one of the biggest rivalries in sports, the Iron Bowl. Auburn was only 4-7, but we've actually lost to worse teams this season, and historically we've lost to worse Auburn teams. What I'm trying to say is that we couldn't take them lightly, and at the beginning of the second quarter, it was still 0-0. Milroe was struggling, and so was I. It's weird how even when you're not playing well, sometimes you can still get the ball down the field because we were just barely converting 3rd downs, picking up the least amount of yards possible to keep the drive going. And Milroe ended up capping off that drive with a touchdown, and on the very next drive, with a minute remaining, we were driving down the field, and Milroe found, again, Robbie Oots for his second passing touchdown of the game. Auburn did score one more touchdown, but on 3rd and 7, all I needed to do was pick up this first down. I couldn't do it, but we did end up winning the game regardless, and we did end up making the SEC championship game against number 7 Georgia. Before playing Georgia, I basically didn't think that I could be stopped running the football. Had I been shut down in the past this season? Maybe, but I never felt shut down. In this game, on the other hand, Georgia's linebackers were playing the run insanely well. They had the speed to sit back in coverage or even drop back and get back in time to destroy a halfback draw. Normally, I felt like I could wear the defense down, but I actually felt like they were wearing me down. Every time I went down, I had 3 guys tackling me. I was getting a helmet to the thigh, or I was getting crushed by a 400-pound lineman, or I was getting DBs running full steam with no blocks coming from my wide receivers. I respected that coach wanted to continue to use me despite how much we were struggling, but I actually don't think it was the play. I wasn't losing confidence, but we just couldn't do anything right. Georgia was coached better and just had better talent. It was just a fact. We were somehow still in the game at the end of the third, just down 14-7. I think my biggest run of the game came off of a read option for about a 9-yard carry, and with 16 seconds left in the third quarter, I had a short out that got immediately blown up by multiple linebackers, and we were midway through the fourth quarter at this point, down by 10 points. We were still in it for sure, but we just could not muster any points. I definitely felt bad letting the defense down because they did their part in this game, but we just could not offensively. But on 4th and inches, I do end up barely picking up the first down to keep this drive alive. And on 2nd and 10, though, Jalen Milroe throws a really suspect pass into double coverage. It gets intercepted, and that effectively ended the game for us. And we just had to move on to bowl week. After coming off the SEC championship game loss to Georgia, we were definitely hanging our heads. Nothing pissed Coach Saban off more than losing to Kirby Smart. On a more positive note, though, we were playing against Tech in our bowl game. We had fallen outside the top 25, but if you're not competing for a national championship, then what are you even worried about? The nice thing was that my parents were finally able to come to a game this season since they got tickets with some of my extended family that were also Virginia Tech fans. My dad was looking healthy despite his recent diagnosis, and he told me in the stands before the game that I shouldn't worry about him. If anything, I should play even harder for him. If it wasn't clear already, my dad is absolutely my idol. Seeing how he was fighting gave me the strength to run through a wall for him. But with 3 minutes left and down 3 points, we still only had 90 yards on offense. It was also a surprise that Coach Saban completely stopped running the ball. We ran a screen that picked up a few yards, while I was mostly used as a diversion. After I fell over, Robbie Oots took this pass and got near the 50-yard line. With a minute 40 left near the 50, I got the ball for an 8-yard pickup going out of bounds, just barely. And on 4th down, we ran a halfback screen with me off of the field with a minute remaining. Tech was all over it, and we we ended up losing the game. So it was an unceremonious finish to the season for us. We ended up going 1-5 in our last 6 games, but I guess at least it wasn't 0-12, right?